Okay, so today is September 11th, 2020. My name is Chelsea Wen, and I'm interviewing Judy Jang for Houston Asian American Archive. So the first question is, have you engaged in any response to the outbreak?
Yes, I was the president of the Joint College Alumni Association, and so as the
Mhm.
organization, we have established the COVID-19 relief fund, and we did quite a few projects to help the COVID-19 uh, the initiatives.
Mhm. Can you describe what it was like to fundraise and how you decided what to donate the money to?
Yeah, so around April, we already knew that this is COVID-19 is an unprecedented pandemic. It's going to affect so many people in so many levels. So, and we are staying home, and we have like helpers that looking at the pandemic going worse and worse. And so finally, we decided our organization, usually when there is a disaster, we would we would take initiative to help the community. And so that's what we decided to do. On April the 8th, I called for a board meeting with senior board members and advisors. And at the meeting, we decided to establish the COVID-19 relief fund.
Mhm.
And
Um,
then, and the next day,
mhm.
uh, the, I'm the president, and our chairman of the board asked for approval for $20,000 to match all the donations 1-to-1. And
Mhm.
our goal was to raise a total of $50,000. And at the end, we raised a total of $75,000 in probably around 2 weeks of time.
Wow. So how did you decide where to donate the money to?
So when we do the fundraising, it's
Mhm.
important to tell people what are we going to do, so people would be on the same mission and willing to help you. So at the time, we saw the hospital doctor and nurses, they are risking their life to save others, but they do not have they needed a PPE uh, for their own safety. And it's a really urgent situation. And we also saw that people lost their jobs, and they are lining up, uh, to to get food from the food bank. So those are the two big things at the time we feel like it's the most important that we have to take action. So in our fundraising letter, we told everyone that we're going to raise money to purchase PPE for the first responders, you know, and we're going to donate money for the food bank to help the poor, the person, people that they lost their jobs.
Mhm. Um, can you talk about JCCAA's role in the article that was in the Houston Chronicle, the one
Yeah.
that was Salute Asian American Heroes?
Okay. So JCCAA means stand for Joint College, uh, Joint Chinese College Alumni Association. And so we do our own project with our $75,000 raised, but at the same time, the 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 Asian American Salute for Frontliner, they started the meeting, and then they invited me to be on the as a committee member. So I was joined the meeting and help um, plan through the whole event. So we are one of the main organization, and I was in the committee for the whole process. We also donated the money. So that's, yeah. So actually our JCCAA's project is going together at the same time as the Asian American salute for frontline heroes. We kind of go side by side. The project working together at the same time.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think about the anti-Asian American sentiment that's been present in recent months, and what impact do you think that has on the community?
So it's really unfortunate that the anti-Asian the sentiment got worse during the COVID-19. Part of it is due to the President Trump intentionally named the COVID-19 as the China, virus. And so when we do our fundraising, we raised this point. And when we actually did 4 projects throughout April and May. When we do the project, we not just work with the organization. We also make sure that all the news media, the TV, the reporter, they are on site to record what we did. And so people know that Asian American in Houston, we not the problem, we are the solution. We are part of the solution, and we are dedicated to help our community. And the only way to get through this difficulty is for everybody get together in this, and that overcome this difficult time.
So do you think that has helped improve the situation?
It's hard to tell because we don't, in our daily life, some people encounter people like really mean to them or even hurt, some of the Asian Americans, but we don't actually experience in our daily life. But I'm sure that when the whole community see what we dedicated our time and effort to help the COVID-19 relief, I think, people will come to realize that, prejudice to Asian American, it's not the right thing to do,
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't make sense. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. How do you think Asian Americans can engage with public policy to protect ourselves from anti-Asian American discrimination?
I know we have many different organizations in Houston, and some of them like 80-20, and then some like UCA and some other organizations. Their full purpose is try to make awareness of the Chinese American in Houston, to get involved in the voting, in speaking out, in involving in the activity politically, because Chinese people tend to kind of shine away from involving in the political events. So just by getting involved in and be part of the solution, it's very important. Like my friend and I, we volunteer for the because we are Democrats, so we volunteer for Democrat Party to knock on the doors during last election knock on the door of 50 different families in our neighborhood and urge them to come out and vote. So I think things like that, and then make your opinion known to your senator, to your Congress, men and women, it's also very important.
Do you think that JCCAA could be a way to organize efforts to increase voting?
Organize what? I'm sorry.
Organize like an event to encourage Asian Americans to vote more, or like voter awareness?
Yes. I think we have 2,000 members.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can encourage every one of our members to take action, and at the same time encourage their friends and families to take action, we are a very powerful force. I'm not the president anymore. I stepped down. My term has finished at the end of the June. So we have a new president in place. So still we have the same mission, and I think we can continue to work on those initiatives.
Mm-hmm. So why do you think that voter turnout for Asian Americans is lower than expected?
I think Asian, by nature, it doesn't speak out of their mind, and they, for some reason, they just not. I'm not speaking for everyone, but I know many of them, they just don't take the effort to get involved in politics. Some of us might have a wrong view concerning politics, like it's dirty business. Like people are, those politicians, they doing things, they're not, that sometimes they corrupt, and they don't have trust with the political system. I think that's part of it, and another part of it because we just don't realize that as a Chinese American community, we have to work together to make our voice heard, and this is the only way to for our own benefit, and to be able to have our own voice heard. This is one of the most important things, even because even though we have so many people stay in the U.S. and we don't vote and we don't voice our voice, we become the silence group, and nobody will pay attention to you. And we are such a how you say, like the whole population are so well educated, high income, have the best of everything. But if our benefit and our voice are not heard in the United States, it's very unfortunate. And I guess a lot of people doesn't realize how important it is, to make our voice heard, to vote in order to have this force that to influence the politics.
Mm-hmm. So do you think if more Asian Americans understood that, they would be more motivated to vote?
Yes, I hope so. And I hope that the younger Americans, that they would have more understanding of how important to get involved, to understand the political system, and to work on to make the Asian American heard in the United States.
So how much of your work has been transitioned to Zoom or FaceTime during the pandemic?
So when we are doing the COVID-19 project,
Mm-hmm.
we pretty much communicate use email.
Mm-hmm.
And when we do the fundraising, we just use email, and when we reporting all the project that we did, we send out the pictures, and the news reporting, the television reporting to our members, so they know all in sync with, fully aware of what has been done with the $75,000 that we raised. And so it was a very, just by using emails to communicate at the time, it's very beneficial. But then after the June, after we finished our initiative, we realized that this COVID-19 is not going away anytime soon. So all of our programs, our regular, we have a digital learning, it's called LLC, digital learning programs. And we have a retirement committee programs. We have we have the young professional programs, and the mentoring program. Also, we have outreach program. So all of those programs used to take place in the facility. Now we all of this project changed to be a Zoom. We use Zoom meeting, and actually in October we're going to have 3 weeks of career conference for the young professionals. We invite speakers on those 3 Sundays, and then the whole thing is going to will take place in June. And then our in September and August, every week we have different programs. Like Monday we have exercise, line dance, Zumba program, and then Tuesday we have the cooking class, gardening, how to take photograph program, and then another time we will have, like Friday, we will have, lectures, like exchange. People will be, we have a specific topic that we will be discussing. So the program goes on, and all the activity goes on as usual, but it's just in the format of Zoom, the virtual, or go through the virtual meeting.
So do you think that doing it virtually makes it harder to communicate, or do you think it makes it more accessible and makes it more easier for people to come?
Depending on what kind of activity, right? If we are doing like a monthly status report meeting, or just keeping track of things, and all that, we're doing the planning, of all those activities, the Zoom seems to be very easy and very accessible, because you don't have to set aside time and travel to place, and then when we have meeting, we have to cook and serve the dinner, because most people come after they finish their working, and they come to our meeting, so we have to feed everybody. This kind of stuff take a lot of time and effort. And some people couldn't make it, because they live farther away. So with Zoom meeting, everything seems to be so much easier. We save a lot of time. But the downside is we don't see person to person. So, some of the events is for building the friendship, communicating face to face. And then we have performance, and actually, like in June, end of June, we're supposed to have our annual meeting and the scholarship night. It's the biggest event of our organization, because we have turnover, of our officer. We will have a turnover meeting take place at the same time. We give out this year we give out $84,000 of scholarship to about 40 students, and it usually take place in person. We would like the recipient to come, and we will present the scholarship to them, and then we have performances. Everybody will be getting together, have nice dinner, and enjoy the good times. And due to COVID-19, we couldn't do that anymore. So we have a turnover meeting, Zoom turnover meeting. Everybody log into Zoom. Excuse me. And we still give out the $84,000 of scholarship, but we just don't, we cannot have the big event, like 300-400 people will come in the room together to celebrate this event. So we hope for the next year, gradually everything will get back to normal. And then, maybe people will suggest some of the meeting we use Zoom, if we,
Mm-hmm. So what do you think your favorite event from the past couple months has been?
You mean our JCA event?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
During the COVID-19.
Yeah.
So I pretty much we have meetings regularly for the mentorship program and for the young professional program. I think the most exciting thing is those two programs. We started planning it in June, July, and it all come into organized very, very nicely. So our young professional program, we're going to have career conference in October. And we already finished inviting all the speakers. And we have the brochure and the program and the flyer ready. And since it happened in October, so this event going to be part of a Double 10 celebration initiated by the Chinese Community Center. Yeah, and so that's very exciting. And also our mentoring program also kick off, and we have about 12 or 13 mentors from different fields. And we already sent out an email, and through Facebook and email and all the different advertisement to get the mentee to sign up for this mentor program. So it's also progressed pretty nicely. So I think it's very exciting. So, yeah, those are the two biggest programs in JCCA we have so far.
Mm-hmm. So how has the pandemic changed your perspective about the future?
So the pandemic, it kind of, when it happened, this is almost like it's a once in 100 years event, right? We never have anything happen in such a big magnitude that affect the whole world, all the country at the same time. Every city they have to go through the lockup, and the business affected. So many people lost jobs, and so many people die because of it. So I'm thinking, because of this event, because of this pandemic, people will be realize more that we are all connected with each other. We are anything happen in one part of the world is going to influence another part of the trade. Overall, we should have all said in this world, how far where you live.
Sorry, you cut out for a little bit. Um,
Yeah.
it's okay. So do you feel optimistic about the future?
It's hard to say, right? Because with this very toxic political environment, I'm not supposed to be, I guess I don't want it to be very, how you say, negative, but with we had our president that's downplaying the COVID-19 and doesn't have a full nationwide plan on how uh, for everybody to take care of each other, wear masks, and practice social distance. And with the way that since he do so many how you can imagine that all the cheatings and lying and everything happen in this country. It's really harmful to all the regular citizens. Also, it's harmful to the American standing in the whole world. So I'm not very optimistic if we don't elect a new president, but I hope we will turn the page. I hope the worst is over because I cannot imagine another 4 years in this chaotic darkness environment, toxic environment. So I'm kind of optimistic we will overcome. That the next 4 years will be we would doing better. We will have a new leadership in the in the Washington D.C.
What do you think the pandemic has revealed about structural inequalities in our society?
And so we see report after reporting that the Black and Hispanic seems to be affected so much percentage-wise, so much more than the white. And then after they affected, they got sick, their recovery rate a lot lower than the Caucasian. So you can see that there's a inequality and a difference even in this pandemic. The people, the poor people don't get the same quality treatment as the white people. That's the only the only explanation I can come up, and I listen to all the commentaries. They just don't. The poor people just don't get the care they needed to be able to recover from this sickness compared to the white people.
Mhm. Does JCCAA ever work with other cultural organizations?
You mean other ethnicity?
Mhm.
So we have an outreach program in JCCAA outreach committee. We raise money every year, and so right now it has been established for 2 years. So it's relatively new because our organization is already established more than 30 some years. So with the outreach program, we work with Elif ISD, and in Thanksgiving, we have a Thanksgiving food drive, and we work together to provide last year about 300 family with all kind of the food, turkey, the canned food, frozen meat, vegetable,
Mhm.
all kind of food they need for their Thanksgiving. And then also in around Super Bowl time, Elif ISD has an event called Super Bowl, like soup, you know, like soup and bowl. They put those two songs together as a Super Bowl. What they do is they have a soup competition. You know, that many restaurants or school students, they would volunteer and come out to cook all different kind of delicious soup, and then we'll put
Hi.
hi. I don't know when is the recording. Do they still record the voice, or when the connection is bad, does it just stop the
Um,
recording?
I don't know, but would you mind just starting from talking about the Super Bowl, the competition? Because I think that's
Yeah.
where. Mhm.
Okay. So usually it's the Friday before the Super Bowl,
Mhm.
and so we would have many organizations would donate money,
Mhm.
and also many organizations like a lot of restaurants, hotel, or a school, their chef will come out and they will cook a very, very delicious soups
Mhm.
for everybody. So on that Friday, we will have booths and we raise money to uh, to build awareness of this fundraising event. We raised the scholarship for the Elif ISD students. Um, we especially for the family that has a single parent, the family that how you said that never have any kids that attending college, and for the homeless kids, and it's a very very very, very good event, very good cause. And we also join in the Houston Rodeo Parade every year. We have a coach, and the night before we decorate it very beautifully with the flag of the Republic of China and the flag of USA. And we have almost like 17 people will be riding the coach and go through the parade. And it usually very well received and very well reported. And it's a very meaningful event that we do every year.
Do you think there are lessons that we can learn from this time in the pandemic that we can use in the future?
Yeah, I think from we see across the world, right? So many countries that have the same problem, but you learn that some countries are doing better than others, right? Mm-hmm. Like Taiwan and Singapore and it's Australia and some, yeah. For example, they, especially like Taiwan, right? It's right next to the China when this pandemic, where the pandemic all started, and has so many connections, thousands of people in and out between China and Taiwan every day. Mm-hmm. But when you are able to know how serious the situation is, and you take control, and you have a planning of, you have a good tracing. What is it called? Yeah, you trace anyone that has the symptom, and you isolate those people. And if you wear mask and practice social distance, the mortality rate is really low, and they in a very early stage, they got the whole pandemic under control. Versus the U.S., we at the beginning we downplay it, and we think it's nothing, it's not going to affect us, it's going to go away, and we don't have a good policy in place, and we don't take it seriously. We use it as a political, political thing against each other. Like, okay, if you wear a mask, means you don't support me, like that's what President Trump say. And a lot of people, they say, hey, my personal right is important, and I don't need to, even on the good of the whole community, they do not care. They don't want to practice the social distance and the mask. With this kind of mentality, you see how different the result is, compared to the other country that manage this pandemic properly. We have so many deaths, so many sickness in the USA, and it affects everyone, all the family, the business, socially, economically, the loss. It's really it's just unbelievable. So how you handle the pandemic, how everyone can work together, everyone contributing their own effort, not just the first line responders. Everybody, wear a mask, wash your hands, and do your social distancing. That it will make such a big difference, and it also make you realize it's such a pandemic like COVID-19. It needs a top-down, a good policy to take place for this thing to be effective. Mm-hmm. Has to have a good planning. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I think that might be all my questions. Mm-hmm. Do you have anything else you want to talk about?
No, I say, so our COVID-19 project, we have 4 different projects. I email you all the dates and what we did. It's do you want to be part of this recording? Or if you already got it, you can put it together, or it's not.
Would you like to talk about it and like explain it?
Yeah. Okay. So once we raise the money, because we started raising money on April the 10th, and then in one day, really fast, we already raised $30,000. Because a lot of our board members, they just donate $1,000 a piece. So very fast, we on April the 10th, we almost raised $30,000. Of course, including the matching fund. And so we right away on April the 16th, we worked together with Al Green's the Fairbanks County PPE drive, and we donated $3,000 of PPEs like hand sanitizer, mask, alcohol, and goggles, and all kinds of PPE to Fairbanks PPE drive. And then a week after April the 23rd, we donated $30,000 to Memorial Hermann Southwest Hospital, which including tens of thousands of masks and protective gowns, for the nurses and the doctors, which cost about $22,000. And also we dedicated around $8,000 to buy meals from the Chinatown area. We especially pick Chinese restaurants because they are influenced by the business or influenced by the pandemic, and we wanted to help them to build their business back. So we ordered almost $700 to $800 of meals to deliver to the Memorial Hermann Hospital during the week. I think sometimes in May, the second week in May is the National Nurses Day. So we deliver those lunches to them, and it's very, very well received. Everybody really appreciate it because we all the food that we order is very nutritious and very delicious. Yeah, and so after that, on May the 16th, we donated $40,000 to the Houston Food Bank. We pretty much follow our pledge in our email. So we want our donor to know that we are working very hard to achieve our goal. And then on May the 23rd, we have $3,000 left from our funding. So we decided to donate to the Asian American Salute to Frontline Heroes. So we are part of committee, and we also donated money as part of this initiative. So all the events are really well reported by, of course, all the Chinese newspapers and the TV. It also was reported by Houston Chronicle and Channel 2 and Channel 11. They all come to record this event. And my friend, I think on the day, the May 16th, we were still there doing the presentation, and we watched the people line up to receive the food. And then we're still there around 12 o'clock, but the Channel 2 already put the event in their room, their lunch news reporting. So my friend took a shot of the TV and sent it to me. Yeah. So I also send you some pictures. I think, is that enough, or you want more like a newspaper clips or whatever I send you? Was it enough?
I think it was enough, but if you want to send me more, I will take it.
Okay, so I can probably go and look for some of the newspaper clips
Mhm.
and send it over to you.
Okay. Yeah.